Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Aries, and I'm back with another Monday night movie review. Go ahead and hit that like button on your way in. Subscribe and drop down in the comments and let me know that you was in the building. Without further ado, y'all, let's get into it with this Monday night movie review, brought to us by none other than the Scream legend and GOAT, Wes Craven himself. Didn't know that Wes Craven directed Vampire in Brooklyn. And for that simple fact, I really wanted to extra do this review then, because I'm going to put some respect on the Vampire in Brooklyn name when it comes to this horror movie-ish. I feel like it really gets slept on and swept under the rug as being like goofy and nonsensical. And be that as it may, I feel like that is the case for many horror movies. It don't make no sense. A lot of things that be happening don't really make a lot of sense in horror movies. Seeing this with a fresh set of eyes, because when I originally saw Vampire in Brooklyn, I was a little kid. Not gonna even lie, I just remembered the funny elements of it, and remembered that Eddie Murphy was just looking like a dog. He wasn't looking like no vampire. So the movie starts off with narration in the background as the opening credits lead us into this movie, and we just hear a voice. It's telling us why he's returning to Brooklyn to find a woman that only he could find in Brooklyn. That he could only find in Brooklyn. And at this point, I'm just like, okay, Eddie Murphy, I know that's you, but Prince Hakeem, is that you too? Is that you reprising your role as Prince Hakeem under the guise of Maximilian the Vampire in Brooklyn? So opening up, we have John Witherspoon and Kadeem Hardison working as night watchmen, some security guard, bootleg security guard at that, at a pier in Brooklyn. They are supposed to be monitoring something. Even though I don't see no surveillance cameras or nothing, maybe they just got a window and binoculars. I don't know. Nonetheless, they're not even using those to do tonight's job, which I'm pretty sure it usually be slow. This definitely is just one of them jobs where it's easy money for them. They sitting there watching on a black and white TV, Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud. They just sitting here watching the show, unbeknownst to them, because they too distracted. There is a huge ship that's just plowing through all the boats that's sitting there docked and things. The boats are sitting there docked, just getting destroyed. And of course, until the boat don't start to slow down until it gets to tear through the wall there where Pops and Julius are sitting at watching TV. This startles them. They see a ship just then plowed into them. And upon first really calling out to anybody that could possibly be on the boat, Pops is trying to go under further investigation. Julius, get the hell up out of there. I'm not mad. Julius, you did one smart thing in this movie. It was interesting because being that these two characters aren't black, you would assume that they both would have left. But Pops did, maybe because his old age, wanted to be a little bit nosy. Whereas Kadeem, aka Julius in this movie, got the hell on and got on the good foot. Yes, he did. He was up out of there. Pops, he looking around, he got his flashlight, he investigating. He literally climbs up onto this vessel. Why? I don't know. It is tattered up, claws and things. This is how you know you shouldn't be here. When the claws and elements are tattered up and rusted. Yet he's looking around until he discovers, wow, man, his body's mangled. He's scared. He's screaming and he doing only Pops could do with his socks all up. So he on this ship, he discovered all this wreckage. Not only is the ship wrecked, but it's a lot of carnage on the boat as well. And that's when he notices a werewolf, what he called a wolf times 20 when he described it to the police, jumping and like he's jumping off of the boat. And then he sees the wolf in the shadows turn into a man. He sees him turn into a man. And that's when I was like, you know what? This that first thing that when I was saying stuff ain't making sense. This one of them things, because I never knew. I knew that vampires shapeshift. I know they do that, but I really didn't know them to take on no other animal other than the bats. But I'm gonna just go ahead on and let this movie have that because, as y'all may have been known or made privy to, I'm not really into horror movies like that, but I can tolerate the vampires. They're more intriguing. Yeah, don't be really scaring me like that, girl. I'll be wanting to be one after I watch me a good vampire movie, though. Like, that's why I came tonight with the eyeliner and things. So I hope this is giving you real vamp glam in a subtle kind of way. Like right now, I'm really not trying to feed on nobody. I'm just trying to come down here and do this review for y'all. Then I'll go out vamping, once the work is done. So, nonetheless, he sees him morph from the werewolf into his vampire state. We cut to Julius. Okay, this is the same night. So, like I said, Julius, he got the hell up out of there. Julius got out of Dodge. We cut over to him getting kicked out of his girlfriend's house. I guess he's a bit of a hobosexual. He picking up his clothes and he getting laughed at by the other dudes that really probably only stand with somebody too in this neighborhood. They probably just one fuck up from being out in the street they damn self, to be quite honest. Now that Julius is out on the street, he's susceptible to getting caught up. And he get pulled up on by some Italians that he a number runner. He did mention something about, or I don't know if it's exactly numbers, but he be doing something. He's probably like a gambler at best and not really on a professional level or even slightly good. But this is probably one of his only means of making a little bit of money because he does not seem to be employed. And he get pulled up on, ran up on by these Italians that I'm sure he's in some debt to. And guess who ends up saving the day? None other than the vampire of Brooklyn that just made his way into town, came on and saved the day. He saves Julius from the Italians. They shooting at him, he's resistant of all, that they can come with. All of their ammos. He's taking bullets. This man then grabbed the heart out of this man's body. The vampire did. Because we know him now as Maximilian. And this heart was just like no arteries or nothing. Like he snatched it out clean. But he got the heart right here. And the man was still like, okay, because maybe maybe there was a little bit of brain functionality left after this heart was snatched, okay, from this man's body. And that was so bad that the other man just got the hell on. Okay, he ran because he started grabbing at his heart, and I was thinking like he did him too. But no, he just felt the impact of that, and he got out of Dodge. I think he was trying to load up some bullets at one point and shoot the man, but of course he failed miserably. Maximilian tells Julius, look, you stay right here. I'm about to go and finish this man off. So he just down here, he's feasting on the Italians, and you see him go behind the car where the other Italian was, and body parts is just flying. It looked like he was throwing a mannequin up and down over behind that. But like I said, I'm not gonna. We here to put respect on the name, not to pull it apart. Damn it. So Julius is freaked out, y'all. He run over to this warehouse where Max ultimately gets a hold of him and turns him into his ghoul. He can do this by simply pricking his finger and dripping a few drops of blood onto Julian's tongue. Now, why he stuck his tongue out? Maybe because the vampire Max had his neck like this. And why the vampires always got to have on them little press-on nails, looking like Cuddy from Dead Presidents. So once Max turns Julius into his ghoul, they start walking down the street. And I swear, if I had to make another Coming to America reference, y'all, it's a lot of the same elements. So Max and Julius are walking down the street. Max is telling Julius what he's doing in Brooklyn and who he's looking for. One of the very best, a specific type of woman that he can only find here in Brooklyn. And he's like, where can I meet this kind of girl? And I said, shit, the Black Awareness Rally where you met that last one at in Coming to America. So the next day, the cops pull up to the pier. We got Angela Bassett playing the role of Rita, a cop, a new detective that I don't know if she's actually new, but she's definitely new to this precinct. And the only thing that they really know about her is that her mother killed herself in a mental hospital. because that's what the lieutenant blurted out while they were on the crime scene. Like, I hope she's gonna be okay, with a mother killing herself in a mental hospital. They saying this like this just happened like yesterday or even this year. We come to find out that Rita didn't even know nothing about her mama because she did that when she was a little child. But y'all know this about this lady rap sheet and y'all holding it against her. So nonetheless, Rita takes off. She hit the ground running because she got a point to prove. She's on this ship and she's going over all the bodies. They're telling her about what they're finding in there. When you get down there, it's all type of ancient artifacts and writings on the wall. Rita down here by herself with nothing but a gun and a flashlight. She ended up falling down a level into the floor of the ship. And this water waist deep. Like, why is you still trying to investigate? At this point, you need to be screaming your head off and getting the hell up out of there. You needed to be getting on. But she doesn't. She snoops around. She notices a tomb, a coffin, if you will. And it's like, it looks really royal and ancient. So she opens it up and she sees a woman that looks just like her, basically as her. She sees herself there in that coffin, and then she jumps all up against the wall, like, oh my God. But you ain't trying to get the hell out. What good is backing up against the wall gonna do, Miss Rita? Detective Rita, what good is that gonna do? And meanwhile, Max is down there too. He thinking he about to sink his teeth into somebody, a new victim. He ends up pulling behind the curtain and discovering like, oh my God, it's you, the woman that was in the coffin, the woman that he's looking for. And she's just like, she sees this man and he take off. She take off behind him. Now, I do realize that he is a cop. Okay, but why at this point are we not freaked out a little bit more? Why are we still trying to do our due diligence? It's not worth it. She ended up running into the arms of none other than Detective Justice, which is her partner, played by Alan Payne and his fine ass. So Detective Justice takes Rita over here to where they questioning Pops over here at about what he saw exactly. Now, he's telling them for sure he saw a werewolf. They're trying to ask him, was it like this German Shepherd that we got over here? He like, no, this was a wolf to the 25th power. And they take that information and just kind of like disregard because this funny old coot cannot know what he's talking about. So y'all, now Max is actually moving in with Julius. He moving fast. He ain't got no time to waste. He moves in with Julius, who actually lives with Pops now because he just got kicked out, remember? Julius is doing his ghoul work, trying to pull the coffin up to like a flight of stairs or something, and Max standing up there at the top of the stairs. He waiting on the casket to get pulled up because he needs to get in it. The sun is coming up. Instead of standing there while Julius got the third degree from Pops, Max just go ahead on and throw him a little bag of coins on there. I was like, what's in his hand? And he was just looking at this little Crown Royal bag, basically, of a few coins, like, let me get this to this old man so we can go ahead on about my business. Would I really be wondering about vampires? And this is like across any vampire movie that I've seen. Vampires be having the coin. Literally. Where do you get all this? Why are y'all so balling this out here in these streets like that? Where do you get it from? I don't know if it's just like a part of their ancestry that they come from money, but vampires be having that bread every time. Max is able to finally get into his coffin, and he tells Julius what his assignment for the day is. You need to go and find out where is that cop, that woman. I want to get her. That's the one. That's the one, my friend. I need to know more about her. So while he's down to the precinct snooping on the police conversation, which clearly, I don't know, like it wasn't secure at all. These people was just walking up a ghoul at that. Like, you look so much like a meth addict at this point, Julius, is that you should have been taken to custody as soon as you stepped foot in that building. So they follow up on their lead to Dr. Zako. Initially, they did think that they were going to like a doctor's office or something, because you could tell they were surprised when they stumbled upon like Calypso Hour at a club type thing. And Dr. Zako is there. He's like a witch doctor type, mobile type of person. Immediately, once he sees Detective Rita, is stunned not only by her beauty, because Angela Bassett was like some of the most beautiful that I've ever seen her in this movie. Dr. Zako seemingly recognizes Rita, and he's just like kind of stunned or shocked, in awe, so to speak. At some point, Rita is sitting alone at a table, and a snake is slithering and crawling along this table towards Rita. And at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, don't tell me that Max then shape shifted into another animal. But he definitely had the lead that this is where the cops were going to be. This is where Rita was going to be, because Max ends up just standing right there. No, he was not the snake itself, but he did put himself in a position to save Rita from the snake. And he stood there like a creep talking about, I'm here to save you. There is a killer on the loose. Grab the snake and just the man come, the handler, I'm assuming, he's like, oh my God, this never happens. So Max, once he saves Rita, he convinces her to go out and hit the dance floor with him one time. Max knows that he has to swoon Rita as soon as possible and go ahead on and sweep her off her feet. So off in the distance, she notices Justice just as she is about to get caught up in the romance. I don't know why they like. Did Eddie Murphy think that he was sexy? So Detective Justice and Rita lock eyes as soon as she is about to get caught up in the moment with Max, the vampire. And this kind of breaks that trance that she was about to be lured into. And they leave and just carry on about their business, basically. Detective Justice is walking Rita home and making sure that she makes it up to her apartment for the night. And I'll tell you about the chemistry between them. You can tell that Justice is interested in Rita, and you can tell that Rita is interested in Justice as well. But it feels like they're trying to keep it on a very professional level just for the sake of being partners. It's that same Detective Benson and Stabler dynamic where you could tell that they have chemistry more than what their partnership as cops entails, but are they going to take it to that level? So Detective Justice makes sure that Rita makes it up to her apartment all nice and safe, and this is where we meet her roommate Nikki. Now Nikki is basically trifling, and she pushes up on Detective Justice immediately. I'm like, dang, you just see Rita come in here with this man. You don't know what the relationship is. You don't know how Rita feel about him, and you pushing all up on him, like literally trying to get him to stay. So she's just over it. She's over the day, and she heads off to her room. Meanwhile, Justice noticed a painting that Rita painted, and it's a woman wrapped up in sheets. It's basically from Rita's dream. Rita's roommate comes up behind Justice and says, yeah, she paints what she dreams about. She paints a lot of like basically like this, just downplaying her artwork, like, man, she be doing some weird shit over here, to be quite honest. And she tells him that she has bad taste in art, or but good taste in men. And I'm just like, okay, so if you thought that your friend had a taste for this man, period, why is you all in his face? She follows Justice down to his car because he's really trying to remove himself from the situation. All up on him, he turns her down and says, look, 2 words: cold shower. And she's just standing there looking like, he turning down all this? And none other than Max swoops in so conveniently to basically satisfy Nikki's need for attention. And they end up going back to the apartment. I'm like, girl, this man is a stranger in a whole vampire that you know nothing about. Nikki wastes no time with getting Max up to her bedroom and immediately taking this man to Pound Town. Once she does, this is disturbing Rita's sleep, and she ends up waking up like, what in the hell? She's hearing all of this, like Nikki just going crazy in the room, and she's just kind of like baffled, like, wow, Justice, for real? Like, damn, like I thought it was kind of like an unspoken thing between us. You just all up in here with my roommate like that? Come on. And so she goes out to the fire escape with her painting to finish that up because, she was having this little nightmare where she's flaring through the sheet. One thing Angela Bassett is going to do is have a face going on, and she's going to be running. That she did a lot of in this movie. Running with her stressed face. She does a lot of acting through her face, y'all. So, yeah, she heads out to the fire escape to finish up her painting. More information from her dream is being brought to life in this painting. Meanwhile, Max, once he's finished doing the do, goes head on and kills Nikki. And of course, Rita don't hear none of this because she's outside on the fire escape painting, and it's a train passing in the middle of the night. How in the hell did the noise from Nikki disturb you, but this train that passes by, I'm sure, on a regular basis ain't keeping you up at night? I'm so pissed. Next thing you know, in the morning, Rita goes in there to confront Nikki. Nikki done left a note, sheets pulled off the mattress. It ain't nothing in there but a mattress and a bed, and a note basically saying how she done ran off with her man, which Rita would assume to be Justice. And I'm just like, okay, this is how this ain't gonna end well, because you about to see Justice at work. Nikki, okay, we understand that we don't see her for a couple of days if she's saying that she done ran off, but Justice is gonna have to basically account for this. So Rita is just so disturbed and shook up by not only it's just a lot going on. So she's shook up by the investigation that she's doing, the ancient artifacts that she's finding there. She's shook up by what happened with her roommate just upping and leaving in the middle of the night with somebody she thought she was gonna pursue as her man, probably. And yeah, she's tripping off of Detective Justice, just kind of betraying her as well for what she knows to have happened. So she heads to church, and she ends up looking for the pastor. And of course, lurking in the midst is Julius and Max, finding out how they can be put in the convenient position of, I don't know, like manipulating Rita further into falling into the arms of Max. So Max, he bumps into the pastor, and he ends up killing him and taking on his body. And now this man, he really looked like a very shiny Al Sharpton when he turned into Pastor. And I'm just like, okay, this definitely ain't the same makeup artist from Coming to America, because this is a mess. But okay, we go for it. And as soon as he steps into the church as the pastor, as soon as Max, he in the body of the pastor now. And as soon as he gets into the church, he starts smoking, and just it's too holy of an environment. He has to lead church outside on the lawn. This man out there telling them that it's the necessary evil. Evil is necessary. He got them singing, evil is good, evil is necessary. Something like that, y'all. So Rita's out here, and she's basically taking the word in. Justice walks up on her just as Pastor is calling out another man for his infidelities, because he could read minds as a vampire. That's just a common trait for them to be able to read minds. And so Justice walks up trying to see what's up with Rita, like, hey girl, what's up? Why ain't you answering the phone or nothing? She's like, oh, what I'm answering the phone? What you calling me for? You and Nikki, right? And he is like, Nikki? Girl, no. Justice is there to let Rita know, like, look, I got to lead. Remember the Italians that we found them? Da, da, da. That's the night that Max came and devoured the Italians. The first night when he took Julius as his ghoul. So they have a lead on those two guys. They headed over to Fat Tony's, I don't know, an Italian restaurant or something like that, so that they can discuss with the bosses what's been going on with their mans and them. So as they get there, we see a guy, which is also Eddie Murphy. He loves to dress up and play multiple roles. So this time he's playing an Italian man by the name of Guido, and he's really getting pushed around. He's like one of those knock around type of guys, apparently. So he get kicked out of the nightclub spot where the Italians is kicking it at, and he runs into Max. And of course, Max takes over his body and heads into the Italian spot as the police are asking them, like, what do you know, Joe, about Tony and Anthony coming up missing? So they're telling them basically that they don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about them guys, you know. Guido comes in there with a gun and he's gonna stick up the place. He asks for everybody's gun, throw it out, even the cops, and he takes Rita captive. And at some point, Rita distracts him and was able to arrest him, but this is exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be arrested and hauled down to the precinct because this is just getting him closer to Rita and also the opportunity to sabotage between Justice and Rita because Rita is kind of thinking with her brain at this point, like, okay, this stuff ain't really making sense. Like, with you and Nikki, you saying you ain't seen her, so she was in there with somebody else. Like, okay, girl, yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. But you, I was just thinking, like, Justice, how could you do that? And because Max is Max and Max know the real T, he gonna throw it out there like, oh, I know where I know you from. I was at that strip club the other night and I saw this guy there talking about Justice. So Rita's just like, okay, so you wasn't with Nikki, but you was still lying. And then he was like, oh, yeah, that girl Nikki. That's how I really know you. So it just further puts Justice in the doghouse with Rita. So now that Max has basically done his job through Guido to drive a wedge through Justice and Rita, he ends up showing up right on time again to talk to Rita and walk her to her door. He convinces her to go out with her on a date and invites her to his place to start, and from there they will head out for the night. So Rita takes him up on his offer. Like, Rita is dressed to the nines in her own, like, she dressed up better than the vampire. And when she's getting there, she leaving the apartment and Justice is out there waiting on her. And he's just like, dang, Rita, where you going? Like, I was about to pull up on you with a pizza or something. I'm trying to hang out. But like, you really out here on a date and all? And she was like, yeah, I got asked out on a date and this is my ride here. And the limo pull up is Julius. He's looking a mess, missing ears and a hand at this point. And yeah, he takes her over to the slum. And I'm like, Rita, no matter how this man pulled up, like when it came to coming into that building with all that graffiti, I would have been scared. And she didn't really see, she was just being nice. She wasn't gonna judge his living arrangements, I guess. The place is looking real crazy as Rita's walking up to it, but when she does makes it to the apartment, you will notice that he has taken a moment to revamp it, so to speak, and he was saying in the background, narrating as Rita is approaching, that he really just had to do every spell in the book to make this place look like it did just moments before Rita's arrival. So yeah, they're here. They're having a romantic night in. He's coming with all the game and he telling Rita about all they got in common. Rita's eating it up like groceries. He's convincing Rita that they have so much in common because when he was portraying himself to be Guido, he noticed Rita had a postcard on her desk of a Van Gogh painting. He happened to have an actual Van Gogh painting, that actual Van Gogh, that specific one, hanging over his fireplace in the apartment. And of course, like, Rita is just like convinced that, wow, this Max is just, he's something else. You know, I just got to, this guy is, you know, he's amazing. He's everything that Rita is looking for at the moment. And long story short, Max ended up biting Rita. He bites her. And the next day, Rita is at her place and she's very tired, really wasn't responding to Justice once again. So Justice is still kind of following up on his leads and he's led over there to Julius's place. Pops is on the stoop telling him, like, hey, you know that little cop lady that you be with, man? You know, she was up in there bang, bang, banging all night. On his way over here, after he talked to Pops, he got another lead about a body that was found. And he walks up onto the rooftop of a building, and the body that's found is Nikki's. Nikki is basically wrapped in some sheets onto a cross-like fixture in the same manner in which Rita had this painting. when she went out to the fire escape to finish the painting and all that. That painting, the one that Nikki said was poor taste, basically. Well, girl, you are that now. Isn't that just kind of like a foreshadowing that you end up saying that that painting was done in poor taste, and here you are. So Julius is there too. Once he finds out about what happened to Nikki, he has to break the news to Rita. Like, girl, I found out what happened to your roommate. Look, it's some weird stuff going on, Rita. Nikki was found wrapped up the same way that your painting was done. And I know that you did the painting before this happened. So this is crazy. And so Rita is just like, yeah, this is crazy. And she ends up, because I don't know why is vampires just so always in the mood for love, you know? Like Rita just starts attacking Justice like never before. So unexpected to him. She's clawing at him, drawing blood from his back, and he's into it for the most part. But once Rita lays back onto the bed and looks over into a mirror, she sees no reflection, and she does get a glimmer of herself, and does not like what she sees. Basically, take off running, 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 running. Angela been doing some running. Okay, Rita then took off running once again into the arms of Max, just over there to his apartment, like, what's going on? Like, stop this. How come every time a vampire get turned, they have a problem with accepting the fact that they are what they are now? I mean, like, I guess I could kind of understand because Rita didn't just really consent to becoming a vampire. She didn't have this knowledge that Max was going to turn her. So yeah, she's upset and she wants to know, like, why did he do it and what can be done? And he is like, basically at this point, this is when he started breaking it really down to her. Like, look, girl, you gonna need to just respect the fact that this is what you are now. Okay, you need to say goodbye to your life before and basically step over to the dark side because it's the only way that you're going to be able to survive. You're a whole new person now. That's all. So Max tries to convince Rita once again that her father sent him for her. So, of course, this intrigues her, and she's just like, my father? Like, what do you know? What are you talking about? Tell me about this. And so Max is just like basically telling her, like, look, we're vampires now. Justice is back down there with Dr. Zako. Dr. Zako was saying, like, look, you need to make sure she don't kiss this man. She cannot feed either. Once she has her first feeding, it's a wrap. Over, done with, hang it up, flat screen. Rita has another painting, okay? And we know that what is about her paintings is that they're going to come to life at some point. So this painting of Rita kissing Max cannot come to life. It cannot be brought to life. So we need to stop that moment from happening as well as stopping her from feeding. Meanwhile, we cut back to Max and Rita. They in a park, and Max is basically about to try and get her to feed because they need to eat. And so he goes down, he jumps down on this woman, and he feeds on her. He don't kill her. He brings her over to Rita. Rita is fighting the urge. You see her fangs draw in and out. She's trying to suppress this because she's having that guilt trip that, again, vampires go through at some point. They don't want to feel like they're taking a life. They don't want to turn someone into what they are to just be eternally wandering the earth looking for your next kill. So Rita is really struggling with that. She can't do it. She's drained because she can't feed, and they take her back home. Okay, so she's laid out, and just as Max and Julius are just trying to see, like, what can we do to help her out? We need to put her in the coffin. And Max is just trying to tell her, look, this is not going to work. You need to suck blood, period. You just need to do this. So he grabs Pops, and you should have seen the blood. Like, Julius did something. I don't know if he just used his nails to just scratch a little blood from Pop's neck. But I was like, man, if they make, like, what kind of feeding is this? Just as Max is trying to force feed Pops to Rita, Justice and Dr. Zaka burst through the door, and Dr. Zaka pull out this big stake, a wooden stake, and a struggle ensues. Dr. Zaka end up stabbing Max. He does make contact, and he stabs him right through the stomach. not where it needed to be, up here in the heart. So Max is able to grab Rita up and escape, and he ends up hiding out. Julius distracts y'all. Julius distracts Justice, and everybody just end up dispersing. This is basically the climax of the movie, where it's going to be that big showdown type of moment. And Max does end up escaping, hiding Rita in the coffin, and Justice finds her through like a hidden passageway, because Max got this apartment just vamped out, period. That's the only way to describe it at this point. So when Justice enters this room and he sees this coffin laid out, of course the first thing that he goes to do is lift it open, and of course the first thing to pop out is Rita with a big vampire head. Big vampire head and hair teased up to the blue heavens in the sky, y'all. I'm not gonna even put no exaggeration, but I guess in this movie that's what the look of the vampire was. And I was just like, child, that was not necessary. This woman looks very stressed out. She doesn't look like a vampire. She looked like a damn goblin. Looking about worse is Julius at this point. It's just horrible special effects makeup, y'all. I could not. Justice is telling Rita, like, you ain't gotta cross over to the dark side, Rita. Come on now, Rita. Max pulls up. He and not pull up, but he enters the room at this point, and another struggle ensues between him and Justice. And so that Rita, her real heart is kicking in, and she's like, Max, I'm not gonna let you do this to my real man. They're struggling for power back and forth until he finally knocks Justice down to the ground. Rita then reenacts basically that painting, that image of that painting of them two kissing under it was just like a light background. I thought it was under the sunlight, which I thought was odd since they are vampires. Justice, like, really just, he's just really stuck and looking at the situation like, no, Rita, come on. Don't do it, Rita. And Rita basically is going to use the wooden stake from Dr. Zako to stab Max the correct way. Okay, right through his heart. Look at my stab hand, y'all. She going to stab Max the right way, right through his heart with that big wooden dagger. And he just is literally stunned by it. Like, he's standing there holding it in, end up turning into a big, ugly wall, log looking type of object. I'm like, what is happening, y'all? Like, this is not a vampire no more. I didn't know y'all was going to turn the man into Groot. So he ends up turning into dust, turned into a little star, shot off into the moonlight. The apartment, now that Max is gone, turns back into a hellhole, and Rita ends up finding a necklace that he snatched off her neck when he first bit her. And it was a little tiny cross, but he couldn't do nothing with no crosses in the way. And Justice was like, oh, you found your necklace? Or something like that. But it was this little corny line toward the end that basically closed off their chapter. And she was like, cross my heart and I hope to die. Because she did not want to live for an eternity as a vampire, destroying lives just to keep yours going. Like, what kind of mess? And then they get their happy ending, and we cut over to Julius and Pops. So Pops, like, I guess he's seen that the place going back to the hellhole that it was. And he like, what? We still got the limo, and coming up with ideas for, a driving service and da da da. Julius hops in the back, like, yeah, I'm with it, Pops. And as he's opening up the sunroof, let me move my hand up here so I can open the sunroof for y'all. Okay. A ring falls into his lap, and it does end up being Max's ring. He was like, what is this, a mood ring or something? He put on Max's ring. That's his vampire ring, child, because Julius went from ghoul to decent looking man for the 90s. And he even had a fade. Like, I'm pretty sure that he didn't have these twisties when the movie started, but at this point he does got him a little, sprinkling full of little dreads, and he happy about it. He wearing his little tacky vampire fly clothes, and he even is coming equipped with a full Caribbean accent now that he's a vampire. And he let Pops know, look, You doing good work. Like, basically, don't make me have to turn you because now I got the power. Overall, y'all, Vampire in Brooklyn is a classic. Yeah, it has some corny moments. Yeah, it has some terrible special effects makeup, but the cast is star-studded. We talking Angela Bassett, Eddie Murphy, Kadeem Hardison, Alan Payne, John Witherspoon. And I know that they may have not been at their peak at that time, but definitely A-listers in their own right. A-lister in general. John Witherspoon, the only one that was probably just now getting onto the screen, but he already had a name cemented in the comedy world, the stand-up comedy world. Vampire in Brooklyn is a yes for me. I'm adding it to my Halloween category for movies that I can tolerate to watch and not get scared. Even though after I watched it, and my window was open and like the wind was moving the blinds back and forth, hitting against the wall, I was waking up. And I really was just like, dude, it's okay. Like, it was just Vampire in Brooklyn. Like, you're not even scared of vampires. That would be so nice. Like, just to be one. I wouldn't say forever, but if I had to, like, I wouldn't get tired. I know how to find me a good companion to be having my best vampire life with. Anyways, y'all, thank you for tapping in with me and hitting that slime line for another Monday night movie. Might be a Monday matinee, depending on when you're watching it. Nonetheless, thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing the video. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.